Hi guys, welcome back to week 10, our final session of the week together. This is like a disclaimer, like you get at the beginning of an air flight. Yeah, the emergency exits are here, here, and here. And in the event of an emergency, I've included in this set of slides, it's a cumulative. So the first few slides I'm not even going to talk about, I'm just saying that they are there. So everything that's on the slides on the screen now are there. So that any point that you want to go back, if you're feeling like you just need to slow down, you need to do something again. Sometimes with the paragraph writing, it might be taking you longer, that you have the record now of every slide, every part of the lessons that we've done in the past that are designed to take you through this writing process. So here was what we were doing yesterday, all that lovely work about thinking about metaphors, then building semantic banks, then leading them into sentences, and hopefully ending with some creative activities and you writing your own paragraph that includes a high star metaphor. Now, at this point, guys, if you're getting worried that this is taking you too long, okay, that you're rushing, can you just listen? This is really important. So, okay, let me do my really important voice. Next week, you will have 2 lessons to rewrite, draft, and create your final version of the speech. So next week, we end the last 2 sessions of the week are all about taking your speech and redrafting it, refining it, and making it the best it can be. So if there's anything that you don't quite get done or you feel that you've had to rush at this stage, relax. We are drafting, we are crafting the first version of our speech, and we will be using next week's lessons, 2 of them, where it will be your time to do the best speech that you can. So please do not feel if you're getting, I didn't quite finish a paragraph, I didn't do all of it. Please relax. Trust me. Next week you will be given 2 hours, 2 sessions to catch up on anything you've missed, to do the best speech that you can, okay? What we're really illustrating this week is the structure, the arrangement of the speech, and how to ensure that it includes the key elements that get you the best response, the best grade. So that's why we took, like yesterday, to look at a high star metaphor and simile. And that's why today we're going to be looking at some other techniques as well, okay? So please, those slides up until this point, this is where we should have ended yesterday's lesson, with you doing another paragraph of your own, trying to include a high star metaphor. Now, I am getting some amazing work. Okay, I've had a really powerful speech on racism by Seth Twynham. I'm having an ongoing, up-to-date kind of lovely set of ideas coming through from Holly Thomas on the equality of pay for women in sport and the equality of women in sport. And their work is formidable. I'm so encouraged. So please trust me that if this is working for you and you're keeping up, brilliant. But actually, if there's bits where you've slowed down or you think, actually, I could have done a better job with more time, that's next week, okay? The whole refining, revising process begins next week. This is really just about having the material in front of us, okay, to craft. Okay, so today, just as our starter then, so this bit is the bit we do, okay? So just to remind us of that high star metaphor simile work, we've got 3 metaphors here. The metaphor of a monster, the metaphor of imprisonment, and the metaphor of slavery. Now, there are 5 words for each metaphor. So there are 5 words for each semantic bank that could get us writing about these metaphors. Can you sort them out? So which words go where? So press pause now. Under monster, which 5 words would you put with monster? Under imprisonment, which 5 words would you put with imprisonment? Under slavery, which 5 words? Now, there might be one word and you think, well, it could go there or it could go there. But if I tell you there's only 5 for each group, it might help you make the final decision. So press pause on your screen now. Remember, think about these words. Which ones would you go with which bank and which idea? Off you go. Okay, so we've got the metaphor of something that is the creation of a monster or something monstrous, something to do with imprisonment is a very common metaphor. I've often seen it misused in the description of schools, that schools imprison young people. actually, were the keys that unlock your future. Slavery. So let's have a little look then. Now, if you are right, give it a tick. If not, maybe just check and think, okay, why is Miss put it there, not there? So first of all, a monster was always seen as something inhuman. Okay, so when you create monsters, monsters aren't human, they're inhuman. So if you were using a metaphor about monsters, you know, this is monstrous. We are inhuman when we treat children of the world like this. Okay, so then we've got monstrous. Okay, then we've got frightening, unnatural, and outrageously evil. So these are all some of those words and phrases. If we play, you know, mustn't pause, mustn't hesitate. What do you associate with the word of monster? These are some of the commonly used words. Okay, now imprisonment. Now, imprisonment is another kind of really good metaphor. It's a high style metaphor that actually is really transferable. We can use it in lots of different kind of persuasive speeches where we're trying to create a negative, okay, metaphor. But I went for very particular words initially. So let's have a look then. Imprisonment, a life sentence. Early release, caged, parole, sentenced. So we could have gone, or we might have thought, well, maybe free might be with imprisonment. And you're right, that the other ones are very particular to imprisonment. And you might come up with other ones, yet being trapped, unfairly judged, sentenced unfairly. So we could start to modify our semantic bank when we're using metaphors and similes to include some of those adverbs. So imprisonment. So we could say something like child labour is a form of imprisonment. Young children are sentenced to a life of being caged with no chance of parole. Okay? If we do something to change child labour, we might be releasing children from a life of imprisonment. We might be responsible for their early release and terminating a life sentence of poverty, ill health, and poor education. So we can start to use those words. Sorry, and caged is there. So caged, being in a prison, is like being caged. Okay, there are other words. And as soon as you start playing a game like this, other words pop into your head, don't they? So there are other words. But with a metaphor and simile kind of style, this is never going to go away. All through your GCSE, your understanding of metaphors and similes is so crucial. So actually always investing, always making deposits in your metaphor and simile bank is never a waste. Okay, last one, slavery. Chained, manacled. Now I like this. Manacled is historically a form of device, a bit like an old-fashioned form of handcuffs, really. And chains would be manacled. Okay, so slaves would be manacled. They would have these chains around their wrists and their feet. So chained, manacled, exploited, enslaved, free. Okay, so all of these again remind us of that kind of process we did yesterday. And all I want you to do now, it says down here in the yellow, can you create just one new metaphorical sentence using one of these ideas for your topic? Because actually sometimes this is revising. You might have done a metaphor yesterday and actually haven't done this activity. You might think, well, this works better for my topic. But it means you get to choose. So you're going to write a sentence now. And when we get to that process of redrafting, refining next week, you can say, actually, that's a better sentence. The metaphor on imprisonment actually works better than the one I was doing on a storm. So you'll get to make your choice. So you're just going to pause your screen, and it says down at the bottom in yellow, create a new metaphorical sentence using one of these ideas. So I've done one for child labour. Child labour is a modern monster of our own making. The exploitation of children is inhuman, frightening, and outrageously evil. Now, if you want, you can follow this sentence structure, okay, for your topic. So you might say, plastic pollution is a modern monster of our own making. The creation and disposal of plastic is unnatural and outrageously evil. So you could use my sentence structure and just adapt exactly what I've done in my sentence, but to suit your own topic, or you can go your own route. Okay, so just pause there and create a sentence. Okay. Right, so hopefully you've done your sentence. And again, playing with metaphor, secretly, I love it. I love trying to think metaphorically, using simile, thinking creatively. And just before we move on, you might have seen it or you might not. That's also a definition amplification sentence. Child labour is a modern monster. So I've defined child labour and then I've amplified it. The exploitation of children is inhuman, frightening, and outrageously evil. So actually, it's this idea that although we've also introduced how to turn one sentence into 5, and we've talked about an amplification definition sentence, it can have a metaphor within it. Okay, aren't you clever? That's like 2 for the price of 1. A cool use of metaphor and a well-structured sentence. Okay, so far we have done the character paragraph. We've practiced a potential setting paragraph. And today we're going to think about the rising action. Now it says here, explain why the topic's so important and what will happen if things don't change. So when we get to write our paragraphs after a few more activities, that's what we're going to be looking to achieve. The third paragraph, following this structure of explaining why the topic's so important and potentially what will happen if things don't change. But I want to remind us that within this paragraph, I would love us to use 2 areas, okay, of prior learning. I would love us to craft a high style allusion into this paragraph. I'm going to remind ourselves of that in a minute. And I would love us to craft using rhetorical figures. Yeah. So reminding us of some of those sentence structures. So we've already got this knowledge. So you're going to get to choose in a minute. Sorry, you're going to write your own sentences in a minute. Slow down, Mr. Witch. Don't you get that sometimes? Your head just gets too fast. Okay, we're going to craft a high style allusion. You can use a Sisyphean task and a Herculean effort. So, stopping such insidious practices, so I'm talking about child labour in my sentence, stopping such insidious practices might seem like a Sisyphean task, but there are choices that all of us can make. And a Herculean effort. It may take a Herculean effort on our behalf. It may seem like an impossible task. It may seem like impossible task after impossible task, and yet we can be victorious. So I've used 2 sentences, or I've created 2 sentences, quite different, both using allusions that I could integrate into my writing. So you'll practice now, so just pause the screen, write 2 sentences of your own that create a link between your topic and each allusion. And then think about which works best for you and which you'll use in your speech. Now, if you want, press pause, go independent, go rogue from the stage, or if you're a little bit stuck, I'm just going to give you a little tip. Guys, most of the things we're writing about could be described, if you remember that lovely vocab word we used earlier, as insidious. Yep, of being like a slow spreading evil. So we could, again, if we're stuck, use that sentence structure, but adapt it to your topic. Stopping the insidious practice of plastic waste being disposed of into the sea might seem like a Sisyphean task, but there are choices that all of us can make. Stopping the insidious spread of homelessness might seem like a Sisyphean task, but there are choices that all of us can make. Stopping the insidious practice of ... might seem like a Sisyphean task. So you can use my structure. So if you find it really tricky to get creative, and you just want to have that second stage of support of scaffolding, again, you can rewrite this sentence so that it's very particular to your topic. And in the same way for the Herculean effort one, it may take a Herculean effort on our behalf to end homelessness. It may seem like an impossible task after impossible task, and yet we can be victorious. So you can, if you're really stuck, rather than doing your own sentences, you can just adapt my 2, but make it really clear what your topic is. Okay, off you go. Okay, so the other thing we're going to be looking to use in our writing today, okay, is reminding ourselves, sorry, wrong side, is reminding ourselves of these different tasks, these different rhetorical figures. So in an earlier lesson, we talked about these lovely Greek words over here, hyperporia, polysyndentation, anaphora, leotes, Andiopolis, frontis disjuncts, and enigmatic sentences. So on the other side, oh no, somebody's muddled up all the correct definitions. Could you please just stop now and rewrite this list with the right word, with the right definition? Yeah, if you can try and do it, you can use your prior notes, but which of these words goes with which definition? See you for the answers in a minute.